Coming up, signed, sealed, delivered. We have more on the university's newly signed private-public partnership. And later, the articles of impeachment against Trump have been unveiled.
We preview Iowa women's basketball in their Cy-Hawk series matchup.
And we have an update on the Iowa Hawkeye wrestling team later in sports.
The weather has taken a cold and snowy turn over the last couple of days, but is it finally here to stay? Stay tuned for weather to find out.
All that and more coming up on this Wednesday morning edition of DITV News. Don't go anywhere, DITV starts right now. Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Emily Callahan. The Board of Regents signed the University of Iowa's private-public partnership deal yesterday. DITV Director John Rawson has a deeper look at what this means for the university. John, what can you tell us?
Well, Emily, the University of Iowa just signed a 50-year P3 deal with companies NG and Meridian for them to operate and maintain the university's utilities. And in exchange, Iowa was given over $1.1 billion lump sum up front from those two companies. And the University of Iowa President Bruce Harold hopes this will help the university climb out of some financial holes.
And everybody cringes when I say it, but I think it's the truth. We're on a glide path to mediocrity. And I think this institution has got much more potential. And so the question becomes, what's the role of public higher education? And where's the funding going to come from?
Now, there has been some public backlash due to a risk involved in a deal like this, but President Bruce Harold assures the public he's built in those cushions.
And their leaders won't be there for 50 years. I won't be here for 50 years. And so we're building a working relationship with an entity whose leaders will change through time. Those types of changes, those length of contracts are risky indeed, but we tried to put in place a little bit like I at times was referred to it like writing the U.S. Constitution, which you have to create some values and principles you stand on.
Deals like this have been signed by universities across the country, including fellow Big Ten school Ohio State, and the university is hoping that this will bring them long-lasting financial stability while also limiting their environmental impact, as it's part of the university's plan to be coal-free by 2025. Emily, back to you.
Thanks, John. This deal is expected to generate a total of $3 billion for the university by the end of the 50-year contract. No one is above the law. That's what Representative Jerry Nadler said Tuesday when he read out the articles of impeachment against Trump. 2 articles of impeachment were introduced. The first charge is for abuse of power, and the second is for obstruction of Congress.
It is an impeachable offense for the president to exercise the powers of his public office to obtain an improper personal benefit while ignoring or injuring the national interest.
The House Democrats are holding Trump accountable for his actions in Ukraine.
A president who declares himself above accountability, above the American people, and above Congress's power of impeachment is a president who sees himself as above the law.
President Trump calls the impeachment inquiry a witch hunt and is planning to fight back. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty surprised by the snow this morning. Hopefully, Melissa has some more news for us about the weather.
Thanks, Emily. We did get snow overnight last night, and we accumulated about 1.5 centimeters. But we're still in the midst of a cold blast, so it's going to be another chilly one today. We're going to have a high of 28 degrees with partly cloudy skies and winds around 8 miles per hour. Heading into tonight, we're going to have cloudy skies, and our temperature is going to drop to 21 degrees, and we'll have winds around 10 miles per hour. Now let's take a look at the extended forecast. Tomorrow will be cloudy with a high of 46 and a low of 27 with winds around 17 miles per hour. On Friday, it will be cloudy with a high of 44 and a 50% chance of a snow-rain mix on Friday night heading into Saturday morning. On Saturday, we're going to have a high of 29 and a 50% chance of snow. On Sunday, it will be partly cloudy with a high in the low 20s, and next week on Monday, we have a 30% chance of snow and a high in the upper 20s. Looks like the cold weather is here to stay, so I think you might want to take out all your winter clothes to stay as warm as you possibly can. Emily, back to you.
Thanks, Melissa. Social media is one way for politicians to get their message across to young people. We have Daily Iowan politics reporter Caleb McCullough in the newsroom with more. Caleb, can you tell us how political advertising has changed in this election cycle?
Yeah, so one of the biggest trends has been increase in digital advertising, and that's like Facebook and Google, other social media sites. In 2012, digital advertising was about 1.7% of the total amount of money spent on advertising during that election cycle. In 2016, it was up to 14.4%, and we don't know what the number is going to be for 2020, but it's expected to be higher than that.
And which presidential candidates are spending the most money on political advertising?
As of about mid-November, which is the time span that I used to write my story, the biggest spender on TV ads was definitely Tom Steyer. He had spent more than the other candidates, all the other candidates combined. Digital side, President Trump was the highest with about $26 million spent on digital ads, and then Tom Steyer came in second. Pete Buttigieg and Elizabeth Warren were next in line. So they're the ones who are spending the most on digital ads.
That was Caleb McCullough live in the newsroom. Thanks, Caleb. Now, from what I've heard, the Hawkeyes aren't quite done with Iowa State yet. Tanner and Dallas have more in the sports studio.
Thanks, Emily. The Iowa women's basketball team will look to get their first road win of the season tonight when they travel to Ames for the annual Cy-Hawk Series showdown. Head coach Lisa Bluter and her team know that it won't be easy for them to come away with a win.
Work in progress for both of us right now. But we're excited to go over there and have the opportunity to compete in one of the best environments in women's basketball.
Prepare for every game the same way, but it's obviously really fun, and it's a big game against Iowa State, and getting those road wins are always hard to come by, so it'd be really big for us.
One of the main reasons the Cyclones could give the Hawks trouble is their three-point shooting.
And it's not one player the Hawks have to look out for that can shoot from deep. It's all 5 of their starters.
They hunt for the three-point shot, and they do a really good job of it. Bill recruits really good three-point shooters, and so they all have that potential to shoot threes so very well, and that's hard to guard sometimes because they spread the floor so well.
The Hawks have won their last 3 meetings against the Cyclones and hope to continue their streak heading into tonight.
Speaking of hot streaks, the wrestling season is a month in, and the Hawkeye wrestling team is still at the top of the rankings and have a big tournament right around the corner.
But for more on that, we have DITV Sports Director Cade Overton live in the newsroom. So Cade, what is going on with Hawkeye wrestling?
Well, guys, they're getting ready to wrestle at the Midlands Invitational, which takes place on December 29th and 30th over in the Chicago area of Illinois. It's one of the most prestigious mid-season tournaments in history, and Iowa in the past has dominated in it. In 2017, they had 5 champions and won the team score with ease. There's going to be teams there like Wisconsin, Northern Iowa, Illinois, Arizona State, teams from all over, and some of the best wrestling it's going to get. We're going to potentially see a rematch between Austin DeSanto and Seth Gross, that 1-2 matchup we saw just a few weeks ago. And also, it's going to be a little tougher on the team race. Spencer Lee isn't going to be in the lineup, so we're going to have Aaron Cashman. A couple of bonus point chances might not be there.
Wait a hot minute. Did you say Spencer Lee isn't wrestling at the Midlands?
That's right. Spencer Lee is actually going to be wrestling on December 22nd down in Dallas for the U.S. Senior Open Championships. As we all know, Spencer Lee's trying to qualify for the Olympics as well as continue on with his NCAA 4-time champion race. But he should be back in mid-January for that stretch of Nebraska, Penn State, and Ohio State. Hopefully Spencer Lee can just qualify in the top 5 to get out of there. But yeah, Spencer Lee, look out for him. He'll be trying to qualify for the Olympics.
Thank you. That was Cade Overton live in the newsroom. Be sure to tune in after the holidays for more on Hawkeye Wrestling. Emily, we'll have to come back to you at the desk.
Thank you. That's all we have for you on this Wednesday morning edition of DITV News. For DITV News, I'm Emily Callahan. Have a good day, Iowa City.